This episode is brought to you by Kia's first 3-row all-electric SUV, the Kia EV9, with available all-wheel drive and seating for up to 7 adults, with a 0 to 60 speed that thrills you 1 minute, and available reclining lounge seats that unwind you the next. Visit kia.com/EV9 to learn more. Ask your Kia dealer for availability. No system, no matter how advanced, can compensate for all driver error and or driving conditions. Always drive safely.
Listen to the 48 Hours podcast for shocking murder cases and compelling real-life dramas from one of television's most watched true crime shows. Go behind the scenes of each episode with award-winning CBS News correspondents and producers in Postmortem, a weekly deep dive. Listen to 48 Hours wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, Scott. What brings you in at the pharmacy?
I'm thinking about getting one of the updated COVID-19 vaccines.
Great. Do you know which type of vaccine you'd like?
There's more than one?
Yep, there are different types of vaccines available. You can learn more about them at WeDoVaccines.com. If you have questions or want to make an appointment, give me a call.
What was that website again?
WeDoVaccines.com.
Thanks. I'll check it out.
This message was brought to you by Novavax.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Boobies. Boobies.
Hi.
Hello, and welcome to
Boobies.
Boobies. That's right. We're your hosts. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Joshua.
And today we're here to talk to you about some real tight subjects.
Yeah. Very New Fear Unlocked.
Yes.
Very, if you're claustrophobic, maybe not
Don't
the movie
watch
for you.
this.
Or if you want to be really scared, the exact movie for you.
Yeah.
And that's not the only element. Kind of a little
Monster.
Creature-ish monster movie. Yeah.
They were modeled after Nosferatu. Nosferatu.
Yeah. The vampire.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Which they gave very that, and like if have you ever seen The Strain, an FX show called The Strain?
Actually, I think
or
I've
maybe
seen
you've heard of it, pieces of it.
Yeah, I think I've seen like a few episodes that would come on after a show that I was watching.
Mm-hmm.
But
on FX, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know enough about it.
But also
to
gives like
get your
also
reference.
Blade 2 when the
Yeah.
vampires are like bald and like are like mutated and like really sick. They also they make kind of the same noises as well.
Some of the noises they made were kind of cute. I
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
some of them were like
a little
giggling.
Cat.
Yeah.
I was like,
oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
or like it also reminded me of like Alien.
Yeah, same
That little
thing.
like
It gave very like
I can't do it.
the noise, yeah, from Alien, and then like even like Covenant, Prometheus, and all those movies. Yeah, and I guess
They were not cute in appearance though.
No, they weren't. They were very
Absolutely
horrifying. And if you haven't
And
caught
slimy.
on yet, we're talking about 2005, The Descent.
The Descent, 2005 in the UK,
UK.
2006 here,
In
but
the US.
2005 is what we're going with.
It's
It's the original release date.
British horror film. And we're basically following a group of gals, who it's kind of like that friend group that used to be tight, but like now there's been some time and distance, and so like we're trying to like, you know, go to that one weekend getaway, and we're trying to, you know, bring back the vibes, but
It also reminded me of The Ritual.
it all goes wrong. Oh yeah, I can
Like
see that. Yeah.
the friend group that decides to go on a big trip because
honor.
of
And to pay homage to
Yeah.
a fallen friend. And so it's six women, and they are going cave diving. Is that what we'd call it? Caving.
Caving.
Caving. Yeah. And it gets pretty intense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It's really cool at first, like really
Oh,
pretty.
yeah.
And I was like, oh,
Like I want to do this.
Yeah.
Like I could, like that looks like fun. Actually, I've always kind of wanted to go caving, but like when they
I've
start
gone,
getting
like,
into those like,
minuscule, like
Mm.
very low level caving. At Enchanted Rock, they have
Okay.
a small cave system that you can go through.
oh, that's cool.
And now there's Granddaddy Longlegs everywhere in there,
Mm.
like covering the walls and
Yeah.
stuff. So you have to like,
Be careful where you put your position your arm or anything
Mhm.
because they'll just like swarm you.
yeah. Well,
Good thing
they
they don't
really
bite
they
or
don't
do
do
anything.
anything. They
Yeah.
you just have to kind of like
Not squish
crush them.
them. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you don't have any option. They're like literally everywhere.
Yeah.
They're just covering. It's
The
like
wall.
it's a thick blanket of them
Oh wow.
on the walls. And then there were a few spots where you have to like kind of throw your pack
Mm-hmm.
to get through because it was so small.
Oh really?
Yeah. I went through it with 9 or 10 stitches in my knee
Ow.
the second time I went through it.
The second time. So
Yeah, the
you'd
first
already-
time I went through it, I was completely
Is
able.
that how you got the stitches?
No, I was at a church camp and we literally were there for like 5 minutes and I
Uh-huh.
climbed a tree and then I fell out of the tree
Oh no.
and my knee landed on a rock and then my kneecap went with my hand. It was really gross. And then I had to get a bunch of stitches in my knee. And so I couldn't bend my knee. And so going through this cave system
were
with
like-
a like completely straight leg, kind of
Yeah.
like how Holly must have felt. Well, that was her lower leg, so she probably still could
Yeah.
bend.
But
I don't think
it
she'd
was
want to.
protruding though. I'm sure I bet like well, and then I guess whenever they put it back in, but I guess still, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's painful.
Not
nonetheless.
nearly the same level.
Yeah.
But I
Ugh.
couldn't move. I couldn't bend my leg without like possibly busting the stitches. So I had to be really careful going through. But
It's-
that's the only amount of caving I've done.
yeah.
And then I've gone into like caverns
yeah.
and stuff like that
Like
with like the
ones-
handrails in a gift shop.
Oh, what's it called? There's the one that's close by. Yeah,
Oh, in
or,
like San Antonio or
like,
right before Austin.
Yeah. Oh, I can't
The
remember.
Great Caverns or it's
Something
like
like that.
Aerospace. No, it's
No,
not that.
Aerospace. Aerospace.
I don't know.
Aerosmith Caverns.
Aerosmith Caverns. Come in there and everyone's got long hair.
So I guess we'll go ahead and jump into the movie, right?
Yeah.
We open up and we've got some friends and they're whitewater rafting.
Which is so dangerous.
It's and then, I mean, even off the bat, you can tell they're like, I wonder if it was stunt doubles or what, because like they're pretty in some rough waters.
Yeah.
And going down a little waterfall, and then we have
Sorry.
You're okay.
Something bubbled up from my soul.
There you go. We have her husband and the daughter like saying hi and yelling across to Sarah.
Paul and Jesse.
Paul and Jesse. There we go.
Or Jessica.
Mhm.
But it kept my closed captioning. I think
I
kept
heard
calling her
Jessie.
Jessie.
Yeah. It's the nickname, I guess. And yeah, she's screaming mommy at her, and then all of a sudden we see them like going through a little waterfall, going down the rapids a little bit, and it's a pretty close encounter to like falling out and flipping over. But it's funny how it's like
At one
really,
point, I thought one of them did fall out.
yeah.
There was like that last dip that they hit.
Mhm.
I thought one of them went like
For sure.
flying. Yeah.
In real life, I feel like that would happen.
Yeah.
And so, but it's funny because like right after they get out of it, it's very like, haha, yay, hee hee, we're the best friends. Yeah.
We're in these calm waters now. Everything's great. Let's go get some lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have them getting off the boats, off the whatever. It's like a raft. It's like a
Yeah.
plastic
A raft.
inflatable raft looking thing.
Whitewater rafting.
And so they get out there, and Sarah starts to meet up her husband. But meanwhile, we have Miss Juno, right?
Yeah,
She's-
it's Juno.
She's observing like them, I guess, and you can tell that there's something like going on there.
Yeah, he goes to pull Juno from the water.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Sarah goes to play with Jessica
Mhm.
and like talk to her about that. And he's pulling Juno from the water. Well, I believe it was Beth, but she had blonde hair.
Yeah.
So I guess she dyed her hair the next time we
At
saw
one
her.
point,
But I think
yeah.
it was Beth
Uh-huh.
who noticed the kind of little eyes that
Juno was giving.
Juno and Paul were
Yeah.
giving one another, which was like, that's suspicious.
Yeah. Already off the bat. And so after, as they're getting stuff together, Sarah wants to help the friends, but then Beth is like, you go ahead and go on ahead, because she was going to go ahead and go with Paul and Jesse.
Yeah.
But it's really not that long after we get in the car and we're kind of, having regular conversation, and then everything goes to shit.
Yeah. And she like asks him, I wonder if she had, I mean, I know she has to have, yeah, I know she has to have some survivor's guilt, but like she asked him, hey, are you okay? You seem kind of distant. And that was when he swerved off the road, kind of, he stopped paying attention to the road and hit this other car head on. And
it was very Final Destination, because they had like pipes on top of it, and it like went through, and
oh, it's so scary,
went through that person's body.
I can't, like, I know I mentioned how I've been having a bunch of issues with like dying and being on the road recently, and every time I'm behind a car that has something on it like that, I have to get around it. I cannot do it. It freaks me out too much. I don't care if my exit's coming up, I'm gonna miss it. Like, I'm just gonna go right by it, because no, I can't.
I mean, that's a pretty,
and like remember that one
that's not irrational
TikTok or Instagram reel where we posted it on our story, where the like plywood or whatever went through
a window.
And it like stuck into the seat, and I'm like, if someone was there, that would have decapitated them. And so these poor people get impaled.
That's crazy. Death, it's coming for us. I mean, at some time, but that's not a really fun way to go. I feel like it's probably painful, and then like
I feel like it might kill you instantly, though.
I'm sure you're right, but then like it's one of those things where it's no longer just you, because then like your body's like whatever, and then your wheel of the car, and then the car, and then like this, and who else? I don't know. That sounds like a unfortunate situation.
Definitely.
But we have it happening to our main protagonist of the film, and unfortunately, after waking up from a little birthday cake sequence and in a hospital, she finds out after running and it kind of looking like an even more dream sequence and getting caught by Beth that Jesse and Paul are dead.
Yeah,
which is
Jesse's gone.
Pretty rough.
Because they were talking about Jessica's birthday party in the car right before the accident happened, and so I think that's why she had the sequence of blowing out the birthday candles. And the hospital looked abandoned, of course,
as they always do.
I'm wondering what it must have looked like in real life to her, like just being there. She obviously like runs into Beth and was actually running.
It's like a hallucination.
Yeah. And so I'm wondering what people must have been thinking just seeing this woman like going, Jessica, and like all of a sudden just start sprinting down the hallway.
I mean, but I'm pretty sure that's not too far off from maybe something they could see at times.
Yeah.
You never know. People in the hospital, they get stir crazy
for a reason.
Yeah.
And why does every person in a movie, when they're in a hospital, if they wake up from something, immediately unhook themselves?
Oh yeah, just like, I gotta get these off.
They just start ripping them off, and I'm like, no, you can't. What?
Leave them in. Yeah.
You're not. But I feel like that's always the case in
every
movies.
Movie. You're right.
They always just rip them all out of them.
And we gotta go. We're not supposed to be here.
Yeah. And it's like, immediately. No, actually, you probably should sit down.
But honestly, the bills, shoot, I understand.
I'd be running too.
And so
fuck our healthcare system.
We end up kind of fading to black after that, and we get a title card of The Descent, and it opens back up to some beautiful Appalachian mountains about 1 year later.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and say something.
Yeah.
So I grew up.
Appalachian.
So Appalachian is how they say it here. But in the Appalachian Mountains, we would say Appalachian. So, but Appalachian, I remember when I moved to Texas from North Carolina, and we lived off the Blue Ridge Parkway, which was in the mountains. And in North Carolina, which is where we were for this film, because one of the cars was a North Carolina license plate. Yeah. So I'm assuming we were in North Carolina for this cave system. But I remember when I moved to Texas, I grew up saying Appalachian, and we were in like history class or some shit. Yeah. And the teacher was like, Appalachian. And I raised my hand so fast. And I was like, excuse me, miss, it's actually Appalachian.
I bet
and
she enjoyed
was
that.
Like, no, it's not, you dumb fuck. It's Appalachian. And I was like, well, I lived there and we called it Appalachian. So
Yeah.
I'm going to refer to it as Appalachian. You can say Appalachian.
I mean,
I feel like it's like tomato.
I feel like
kinda
thankfully
thing.
that's the one time that we really have to mention where it's at.
Yeah.
For the most part. But yeah. I didn't know that Appalachian. Say it one more time.
Appalachian.
Appalachian.
My
okay.
father worked at Appalachian Ski Mountain.
Really?
Yep.
Appalachian.
I went to ski school there.
Appalachian. Where does the appellation come? Who started doing that?
I don't know. I guess people down here. See, up in the mountains too, it's real like bluegrass country.
It's like real thick.
So that's-
Appalachian.
That's
Appalachian.
probably why it's like
We're from the
sounds
Appalachian.
not as fancy
Mhm.
as Appalachian does.
Mhm.
Appalachian sounds like
That's true.
hoity.
That's true.
And then
Maybe that's why
Appalachian's like
people came over
Yeehaw.
here and started saying it different.
Yeah.
Maybe because they were trying to get away from the Appalachian.
yeah, maybe.
Part of it.
Yeah, I have no clue why the difference exists, but
So join us for the next 30 minutes as we talk about the Appalachian Mountains.
Appalachian mountains. They're really beautiful, but some people consider them hills
Oh, why?
because they're not as big as like
Oh, okay. Then, like
other mountains.
I mean,
But they're still mountains.
are mountains.
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah. There are
People,
some pretty big mountains.
I
though.
remember I like told someone once and I like called it the mountains too. And
Mhm.
someone was like, you mean in those hills? And I was like, what? I was like, it's a mountain. I've
Them
seen some
hills.
hills. That's what we have here in Texas.
Yeah. And then,
But then like I would consider Cameron Park and Lover's Leap. That seems like a mountain to me.
when you're on the other side of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
It's
we're
real big.
technically in a dip, so we're all below sea level.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
that's scary.
Yeah. It's like a little bowl. It would flood if the ocean
And then we
rose
just
over. Mm-hmm.
Good thing we're a little far away from the ocean. Anyways, we're at the Appalachian Mountains 1 year later, and then they're talking. We're with Sarah and Beth in their car. They're driving through. Sarah seems like she's dissociating a little bit, not really present in the conversation. And Beth's kind of just talking at her.
Yes.
And they're mentioning someone named Juno, which, because at the beginning part, we didn't have
didn't know
all
that
their
was her,
names.
yeah.
Yeah. The only name we got was Paul, Jessica, and Sarah
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning. And then now they're bringing in all the other names slowly but surely. But they're mentioning someone named Juno and like how she kind of always drags them out to these obscure places.
Yeah.
And they were like, look at where we are now.
For like these wild adventures.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm assuming they were all from the UK.
Yeah, it was giving they're all from the UK.
Yeah.
Someplace.
Some
I
of
don't
them
know.
some of them had different accents. Like Holly, I believe, was Irish.
Mm-hmm.
She said Galway. I think that's Ireland.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm not 1000% sure, so don't come for me. But I
Yeah.
think that's Ireland. They all had some kind of differing accents.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
And for sure they were a little different, and it gave
From
like
Europe.
they were from Europe overall. And it gave that they once again, like, you know, we've known each other for a really long time, maybe college years, I'm assuming, or something like that. But
Yeah.
also they said one of them, Beth, had just turned 25 or something like that. So I'm like, y'all look way older than 25, but
Yeah.
okay. And then like Sarah,
Whenever they
had-
said that, I was like, damn, no wonder people think I'm a baby still.
well, and
If
also,
that's what a 25-year-old's supposed to look like.
yeah, well, and then Sarah had already had a kid, so it's just like, when did you have her?
And like a 5-year-old kid
she
at
was
that.
like, yeah,
She was about to turn 6.
yeah,
I think.
exactly, yeah.
So,
I don't know.
I mean, it could have been a
All of that.
early
Who
teen
knows
pregnancy.
what age they were, but all in all, we're all just getting back together.
They
We're all
looked
hanging out. We're saying
35.
hi. Yeah, 35 to 45 range.
they didn't have a good skincare routine.
But they are talking. They're hanging out. They're kind of, you know, it's what you do with a friend after you haven't seen in a long time. You're catching up. You're having a drink, and you're just laughing for the most part. And at this point, I think they're passing pictures, or someone has a picture, right?
Yeah, and we got all of their names at this point. So
Oh,
we
yeah.
have Juno, who is the kind of head,
Mhm.
like leader of the pack,
Yeah.
I suppose, for this exhibition. Sarah and Beth, who we already knew, they were driving up.
Mhm.
Becca and Sam are
Mhm.
siblings,
Sisters.
and they're inside. And then we get the protege named Holly.
Holly, yeah, who is Juno's protege. Yeah, like you
Yeah.
said. Also gave lover.
Didn't. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Whenever Holly was like, I want to have lots of babies, I was like, girl, you are gay.
Yeah.
You are lesbian.
It-
What are you doing?
because that's the only vibe she was giving off.
And also, yeah, Juno definitely gave that too.
Juno gave bi energy.
Bi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Makes it
bi
that she was
energy.
into Paul.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Very into Paul. In love with Paul.
Yeah. Fucking Paul.
Because this is where we also get a very important thing of information, that Sarah has a bracelet or necklace, some charm, some leaf thing. Or no, she doesn't. I'm sorry.
Juno does.
Juno has it. But Sarah's the one at this point says that love each day. Paul would tell her the saying that he would have that he said, and it would be love each day.
Yeah, because they were looking at the photo together, like you said. They had pulled out that photo, and it was back from days when they would go climbing together.
Yeah.
Which was hella. Thank God they were all climbers because they really needed that in that caving system.
Yeah.
It was so intense. The amount of body strength that has to require of you.
Rebecca,
Yeah.
right?
Rebecca, when she did that, I was like,
time, yeah.
holy shit.
It's badass.
It was.
And then it's nighttime now. We have, I think everybody's trying to sleep. Sarah's trying to sleep. I think before that, even we do get Holly talking about how the system that they're going to go to, because this is important, this cave system that Juno has planned for them, it's like baby, it's like, going to be a walk in the park, it's not challenging.
It's a level 2, they said. So whatever that means.
And
but
Holly is like, oh, like, I wish it was something more exciting. And
that's
Juno
where
over
she
here
says they might as well have handrails in a gift shop.
Yeah. And then Juno overhears this, and she's like, don't worry, it's gonna be really fun, yada yada yada.
When have I ever
stirred you wrong?
Yeah.
And then we go into nighttime, and Sarah has a nightmare again.
Yeah. I was like, oh, Sarah's unable to sleep. She gets up, and then she goes and looks through a window, and then all of a sudden, bam, one of those poles comes through, and it just goes through her head.
Yeah.
The shock factor of that was just like, oh
Whoa.
my God.
Yeah.
It was really intense. And then we realized it was just a dream because she wakes up with the start being like,
yeah.
And, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It shows you
PTSD.
just enough to,
Yeah.
whenever the original crash happened,
and you see his body
twitching. Yeah. And then you see it go through Jessica's seat.
Yeah.
With her little hair. I couldn't tell if it was her hair or if it was Sarah's hair.
I'm pretty Jessica.
It was Jessica's,
yeah. It's gotta be. Yeah.
But
she did.
At the time, I wasn't certain. And then once I saw Mom alive, I was like, okay, that was Jessica's seat.
Yeah.
But it shows you just enough to where it's really quite gory.
Yeah, just a little bit. And then after this, we have her taking some medicine, right? Or medication or something like that.
Yeah.
And then she starts the gang's all getting together. They're about to head out, and they take a picture, a group photo of everybody. And they say sausage for some reason.
Yeah.
Instead of cheese.
Holly was like, say sausage.
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 Sausage. I guess you can't not smile when you say sausage.
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 But cheese.
Cheese.
Sausage.
Cheese really pulls you into cheese.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. But anyways, we got the group photo. It's going to go on a t-shirt if we all make it. Spoiler alert, we aren't.
We aren't.
And so we're driving. Yeah, we're driving to our location.
Awfully recklessly at
yeah.
that.
Oh,
too.
yeah. And also Sarah, it was giving why is she driving like a maniac when her family died in a car accident?
All of y'all?
Yeah. Yeah. And because she was even doing the thing when you play with the steering wheel and oh, where am I going?
Yeah.
Swinging it. Yeah.
And on a gravel road, no less.
Yeah.
So you know that those wheels are already, your car's fishtailing. It's terrifying. I was like, girl, you are the last person who needs to be doing this.
She gave no fucks.
Yeah, she didn't. She's like, my whole family's dead.
Yeah. And
wow.
we have them all talking in the vehicles. We have Holly, Rebecca, and Sam together, and Juno, Beth, and Sarah together. And we have Sam pulling out a watch that apparently her boyfriend got her. And that watch comes, into play later.
Yeah.
So it's pretty important. It's one of those, kind of looks like your watch.
Yeah.
I guess not the frame thing.
It's a big old school kind of
like alarm
plastic
compass.
one.
fitness.
Yeah.
Like a hiker's type of watch.
Yeah,
Outdoorsy
exactly.
person. Yeah.
It's not a nice metal watch.
Yeah. But I mean, yours is nice. It's still nice, just not metal or whatever that stuff is. And so at this point, we finally make it. We're getting off, and for some reason, Juno is freaking shady and is like leaving the
manual.
map.
Yeah, in the car. It's basically everything that explains the cave systems and everything that's been routed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And she leaves it in the car, and it was like bad news bears.
Very much so. And so they end up making their way to where they're going. They're taking pictures along the way, and they come to like a cenote, like a big old hole in the.
What did you call it?
A cenote.
Oh. What does that mean?
The
Big
thing
ol'
that
hole.
this is, the thing that they're in, because I don't know how do you say it. What is it in English?
I don't know.
It's not a sinkhole, but it's a hole.
Hole.
Big gaping hole.
Cavern.
Cavern.
I don't know.
Yeah. Guys, like a hole that
hole
goes
in
on the
the
ground,
earth.
but it's still like when you get down, it's like not
It
just
has
dirt.
another
It's like a
level
whole
of
ecosystem.
earth.
Yeah.
Beneath it.
And so it's really beautiful though. And they get down there, and you can already tell
so nice.
off the bat we're already getting Miss Juno's like very much trying to be alpha, because even like Holly is like trying to go too fast or like do her own thing, and she's like, we go at my pace and at my whatever, like I'm in charge.
And on the way down there too, as they were even walking to it, we were getting like this conversation between some of them that I felt like really laid the ground rules for exactly what you don't want to do, but exactly what's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
And they were like, rule number 1, we always got to have a flight plan, which is basically if they don't report at a certain time, someone will come looking for them.
Yeah.
However, we find out that later that plan was fucked by Juno.
Yeah.
And then rule number 2 is you don't go wandering off by yourself. And because this is an incredibly dangerous situation you can be putting yourself in, like, stuff such as dehydration, your batteries dying, disorientation, hallucinations can all happen down within the caves.
Yeah.
So it's basically giving you
a survival like 101,
Yeah, survival 101, and then also telling you exactly what's going to happen.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, even though they weren't hallucinating.
Foreshadowing.
I think Jessica was, not Jessica, Sarah.
Yeah.
With Jessica's giggles that she kept carrying. So I think
it was a mix of her being crazy and like actual real shit going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause that's a fucked up.
Yeah, it was.
Like, cause then at that point you can't even trust yourself with what, like, is it real?
What's
is it not?
real? Yeah.
Am I going crazy? But yeah, so after getting a little bit further down into the sinkhole, so they're exploring a little bit. They're like, oh my God, it's beautiful. And Sarah, I think, even sees like a hand fingerprints on the wall.
Yeah, with like bloody holes. Yeah, finger holes kind of thing. And I was like, oh, the ring.
Oh yeah.
Like, this is a bad sign.
Bad omen. And it's pretty much because then Sarah gets fucking like blindsided by all these bats rushing out of the system.
That would scare me so much.
It gave Batman.
Yeah.
In the cave.
It was really cool looking. And bats are really so cute. But it was still scary.
Yes. And at this point, we have them talking about, getting out of there. And Juno says the only way to get out is to go down.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, that is terrifying.
And going down this skinny hole now. And this whole movie reminded me so much of As Above, So Below.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
And so.
Which we know is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So.
And
spoiler alert, I liked this one too.
Oh, I've seen this movie at least 4 or 5 times now.
This was my first time watching it. And although there were a few scenes that I was like, wait,
familiar?
Have I seen this before? But I might have maybe just seen clips from it or something, or I watched it like at a party.
I feel like it's pretty popular.
Just going on in the background. I don't know. But I think, and then all the actresses looked very familiar too.
They look like other people.
They do.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're like the off look of like really
like Sarah
famous
was
people.
Like an off-brand Amanda Seyfried.
Yeah, I can see that. Or like that girl from, I'll look it up because I don't know her name. My phone's in front of me. So
I was like, where you going, bud?
The way I'm looking for my phone and it's right in front of me. I'll show you her face and you'll be like, oh yeah.
That's her. Yeah, Amanda Seyfried's the only blonde actress I could think of.
But also the Juno girl. Oh, hello, train.
Choo-choo.
Juno looks like a mix of like Mila Kunis and some other girl that I know. I can't put my finger on it. But why this chick?
Okay.
The blonde chick. I'm trying to get like a picture of just her, but it's not
I can see
on
that.
the
Yeah.
face though. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. That's what we got going on. So as we go down into this little tight crack of a situation, it's pretty
It's
much
such a skinny hole.
like any standard, cave diving experience where they're trying to like push their bags through and they're going one by one and they're having to be very careful because they obviously don't want to cause like a cave in to happen, and so they're going down inside the cave system. Oh, I'm like at this point, I'm looking at my notes. Do they get through at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they get through and they get up into this giant cavern.
That's true. And they get to take a look around and do the little red flares.
Yeah, they use the flares to light up the cavern and it gives it such an eerie glow. I liked how the contrast of when we were up above ground, everything was so blue, like the ring.
Oh, yeah.
Just shot so blue-gray tone. And then when we're underneath, the red just pops. And it pops for the rest of the movie. And then especially when... spoiler alert, when Sarah gets out of the cave and she's just covered in blood, and then she's sorry, it's distracting me so much. She's covered in blood, and then against that blue-gray background too. Yeah. It's really cool.
No, I can see that.
I liked the lighting and everything they did in this film a lot.
The contrast, especially because, like you said, we're going from, daylight above ground into like an abyss.
Pitch black.
Literally. And because also too, I mean, obviously it's a movie, so we have to see what the fuck is going on. But like these people are in complete darkness.
Yeah.
Like not even like like nothing. Like the only thing they have obviously is their flashlights. But like even then.
And they mentioned at one point they made it 2 miles below ground.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
That was, I'm sure, because of movies purposes. Like we just, they're in the little hole and they're there already. But like, what if that was like them like doing this for like 30-40 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
It could have been a long time, not just them shimmying through and then boop, all of a sudden we're there.
Like everybody's here. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, we have Sarah looking around, and at this point, she's exploring, and she hears that giggle that we hear, and it kind of plays in the background, and she's the only one who hears it
and kind of wanders off, which I was like, ooh, that's rule number 2.
Don't do it.
Don't go by yourself.
But she's going, and she's looking around with her. Is it a flashlight at this point, or is it a flare?
I think it's a flashlight. They lit 2 flares and put them like in
on the ground
cavern, to light it up. But she's looking with her flashlight.
Gotcha. And it's like she can hear some noises or tell that something. Like she feels the presence of something there. But at this point, she doesn't see anything yet. But we did get a good little jump scare from Juno because she pops out and is like, "Roar!"
Because you were so expecting
Do the roar.
It was like the whole opening the cabinet scene and stuff like that. She was looking forward, and then she goes to turn around, and you're just
Juno's
waiting
there
for something, and all of a sudden Juno pops down, and it was like, oh god damn it.
Yeah,
that was
and it's
unsettling.
It's time to eat.
Yep.
Yeah. And at this point and then they're eating and they're all trying to, just like get some energy. And Juno takes this time to like awkwardly apologize to Sarah, like being like, I'm sorry I left so, immediately after the crash.
So, and Sarah was not in the mood for it.
No.
She was like, we're not talking about this right now.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then, just like, why Juno? Anyways, at this point, Sarah goes off because she wants to go find a way out of where they're at.
Did you know you could be putting oil and chemicals in your coffee? I love coffee creamer, but I don't think I've ever turned the bottle around to actually see what's inside. When I did, I found out many of my favorite creamers contain ingredients I would never intentionally add to my coffee cup, like canola oil, dipotassium phosphate, and artificial flavors. Laird Superfood all started when big wave surfer Laird Hamilton needed morning fuel that could allow him to spend the entire day chasing the ultimate wave. He couldn't find anything in the market that met his ingredient standards, so made himself the ultimate plant-based creamer. Laird Superfood started and launched its first product, Original Superfood Creamer, in 2015. Laird Superfoods contain no artificial flavors, colors, or additives, and no sugars from highly refined corn syrup. All Laird products are sustainably sourced and thoroughly tested to ensure that you're incorporating the cleanest, finest fuel into your routine. All Laird products are also made of all-natural whole food ingredients, and they are crafted from the highest quality all-natural real food ingredients. Are you ready to feel more energized, focused, and supported? Go to lairdsuperfood.com and add nourishing plant-based foods to fuel you from sunrise to sunset. Use our promo code BOO at checkout to save 15% off your purchase today.
I love smoothies, but I don't love smoothie bar prices. With my BlendJet 2 portable blender, I can make smoothie bar quality beverages for a fraction of the price. BlendJet 2 is portable, so you can blend up a smoothie at work, a protein shake at the gym, or even a margarita on the beach. It's small enough to fit in a cup holder, but powerful enough to blast through tough ingredients like ice and frozen fruit with ease. BlendJet 2 is whisper quiet, so you can make your morning smoothie without waking the whole house. Lasts for 15 plus blends and recharges quickly via USB-C. Best of all, BlendJet 2 cleans itself. Just blend water with a drop of soap and you're good to go. There are also over 30 plus colors to choose from. I myself chose black because it matches the color of my soul. What are you waiting for? Go to blendjet.com and grab yours today. And be sure to use the promo code BOO12 to get 12% off your order and free 2-day shipping. No other portable blender on the market comes close to this quality, power, and innovation of the BlendJet 2. They guarantee you'll love it or your money back. Blend anytime, anywhere with the BlendJet 2 portable blender. Go to blendjet.com and use the code BOO12 to get 12% off your order and free 2-day shipping. Shop today and get the best deal ever.
So Sarah ends up finding a spot a few ways, like what, from, I don't know, 20 yards away from where they're at. And she's yelling at them that she found a way to get through.
And it does not. It does not look like a way through.
It doesn't. It's like, you mean you're going further in. That's what you mean. Yeah. And so one of the girls.
It was so tiny. Holly.
Yeah.
Holly goes first. She just like.
Oh, yeah.
Dives right in.
And then I believe it's either Sam or Rebecca. I think it was Sam's voice, but she's like, this looks different, because they had already like looked at.
Oh,
like,
it was Becca.
It was Becca.
Becca was the one obsessed over it. She's the one who was like, I made the flight plan for.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah.
Well, and so she already had taken a look at like where they were going, what they were doing. She's like, this is different from what the map said.
Yeah.
And so we already have like a little red flag going on here. And so after Holly goes in, they all start going in and go through. And at this point, I think Sarah once again starts to hear the laughter right before she goes in.
Yeah, she does.
And when she goes in there, after a little while, everybody starts going through. It shows on the other side people coming through, except for the last ones being Beth and Sarah. And Beth's right above or ahead Sarah. And
as Holly went through, some rocks tumbling, like sound happened. Yeah. And I'm like, ooh. Holly should have backed out immediately then and been like, nope, this isn't safe, you guys.
Yeah.
But Holly she annoyed me.
Yeah, she annoyed me too.
I didn't like her.
She was that character that just like was like young and reckless and wild and only wanted to like, do what she wanted to do.
When she died, I wasn't too upset.
Go Holly. And so Sarah ends up getting stuck. But not like incredibly stuck. It's more or less like she probably got snagged on something. But what happens is that she just starts going to such a panic attack.
Yeah, she didn't throw her bag in front of her. Yeah. So she was like everyone else had thrown the bag in front of them. Yeah. And she like was scooched up with it. Yeah. And so the bag was caught on something. Yeah. And she couldn't get herself out of it at that point. Yeah, she freaked out.
Oh, yeah. Went full on to panic mode because Beth I don't know how Beth did it, but turned around in the system. Because she was going forwards and somehow she like.
I think she was all the way out.
Was she? Okay.
Yeah, she was all the way out and went back in.
Gotcha. She goes back to try to get her. She's trying to calm her down. It does, start to work out for a little bit. And they're trying to back out and get out of there. But before you know it,
It starts collapsing.
We got a
on
cave
them.
collapsing. Yeah.
Yep, and they just barely escape.
Literally barely.
It's-
Actually, I don't even know how they made it because it seemed like they didn't at
Yeah,
first.
it seemed like at least Sarah's legs got caught.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And then at that point, I don't know how Beth got out.
yeah.
Like scooting backwards. I can't. It
Hollywood,
looked like
baby.
She,
It's Hollywood.
yeah, went the other way.
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure.
But we're all alive.
That part
for
really
now.
stressed me out, though.
It's really scary. It's
Yeah.
a little frightening. Yeah.
Her getting stuck and just being there freaking out was starting to make me freak out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Ugh, God!" I didn't think I was claustrophobic, but now I'm starting to really feel it.
We're empaths. You felt
Yeah.
what she was feeling.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
Well, I mean, and you know what a panic attack feels like. So, like, imagine, like, I was imagining myself because I know what a panic, like,
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm like, damn, like,
to be having that stuck
especially
in a small space
especially
under the
because
ground.
Beth was like, you know what you need to do. You need to breathe calm, and even in like situations where I know what I need to fucking do,
But I
like,
can't do it.
Literally, I'm
Bitch.
I'm hyperventilating here.
Just be happy.
Yeah. But oh man, so we're out of there, but obviously the hole that they just got through is caved in, so they're just like, well, what the fuck, what's happening now? And so at this point we get Rebecca and everybody talking, and it comes to a fact, a light, that Juno tricked them, and they are not at the caves
caverns.
Yeah, the place where they were supposed to be. She took them off the map, off the grid, to a place that has never even quote unquote been trekked before.
No one's ever been down there. It's a new system. And this is where we figure out that rule number 1, flight plan, has been fucked up.
Yeah.
Because this is not Borum Caverns. And that's where Rebecca had set the flight plan up
So
for.
even if they were to start looking for them, they wouldn't go looking for them in the right spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they're, no matter what, they're just fucked.
Yeah. And obviously everybody's like, fucking Juno. Like, everybody's pretty much over her.
Someone calls her a selfish cow. I think it's Beth.
Yeah, I could see
that. Made me laugh, though. She
Well,
was like, you
because
selfish cow.
Beth already had like that friction with her because she knew already
what Paul and Juno were doing.
Yeah, behind Sarah's back.
Ugh.
And
Sarah was so pure.
Yeah, she seemed really naive.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is also why in the movie as well we get a really beautiful like character development, arc, because we get her being in the beginning, like being so coming from somewhere of trauma and a place. Because even actually when the movie even first started, she seemed like very Bubbles, from the Powerpuff Girls. She's very Bubbles and like
happy-go-lucky. Everything's great. Everything's good. I've got my family. I have these blinders on. Don't see that my husband's fucking another woman.
Yeah.
But everything's hunky dory.
And then we end up with her being a boss ass
bitch,
killing
she
murderous machine.
Came at one point. I was like, damn, she is like a part of this cave now.
Oh,
she like became one with the cave, and she was just like, bam, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Well, and it's really cool though as well to like see. This will probably tie in later when we're talking about the whole movie, but like the dynamics of her character transforming into what she became, but then also like Juno's character in the movie being like the antagonist, but also like upon arrival, like whenever they start to face like what they start facing with the creatures and stuff, like just goes straight into just like
killing
survival mode. Like
yeah.
She's gonna win, and I like their vibes, like how throughout the movie we kind of get them all the way up until we get like a face off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's pretty boss level stuff. But yeah, we're all freaking out. Sarah's starting to hear some more shit, so she starts to walk away from the group while they're, getting upset with Juno. And then
because Juno's saying like, we all lost something in that crash.
Yeah, of course.
And it was like,
fucking slut.
You bitch, that was her husband and her
daughter.
child.
Yeah, like it's not as big a deal for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you cared about him, but no.
And so at this point,
also you're not a friend.
No,
you're not a friend.
No.
I just try to think about that. Like if someone, no, absolutely not.
Well, no, like in the movie, it definitely gives like, she's never been a friend to them. If she's been a fake friend, if that, or just someone who probably always got her way or what she wanted from them in essence. So not a very one-sided friendship.
Yeah.
But we have to keep moving forward because that's just what we have to do. We can't go back, obviously. So they end up going forward. They're trying to be careful. And they do come across this like cliff thing inside the cave system that requires them to have to start latching on hooks onto the roof of it, and Rebecca has to climb across to go through it. And this part of the movie is pretty intense.
Yes, I was very nervous for Becca the whole time. And just the amount of brute strength that came from her. I don't understand. Probably it's because I always have like really long fingernails on, but I have no understand
how she was doing
how
that.
you can have that grip strength.
Oh yeah,
to hold on to something that's not a handle. Like
so,
if it was a handle,
maybe
sure,
but it's like
flat.
Yeah.
And then to even place the first thing, and then she can hold on to something.
And then to take that out and then put another one and then go.
Yeah.
And honestly, Juno should have been the one doing it.
Yeah.
Because she's the one that fucked everybody over. But
and so she died. Oh, well.
Yeah. So Rebecca ends up being able to get across. She does it pretty tremendous. Like, I'm like team Becca. And at this point, it makes it easier for everyone else because they start to, throw a little rope. They all get to slide across, go over. But before they do, we have Sarah asking Juno, was this about me or you?
Yeah, she said, was this about you or me? She said, I thought, and then Juno was like, it's about us. And she said, I thought we could name the cave system after you, which I was like, Sarah would be a dumbass name for a cave.
Yeah.
But
Juno cave system, I mean, come on.
Yeah, I was like, Juno cave system does sound better, because then Sarah goes, or maybe yours.
Yeah.
But as Becca was going across, she was placing those things, but then she sees
that's true
that there was one already in.
Yeah.
Well, something similar already in the roof of the cave.
Yeah.
It wasn't the same type of technology that they were using where it like latches out, but someone had already been there.
It was a hook nonetheless.
Yeah.
Which means people have been down here. It's not undiscovered. That's a bad sign because it means that if it's down here and it's never been named, that means that they never got out.
They are dead.
Mm-hmm.
But
and especially because they can tell, like you said, they were like, what, this is from like 100 years ago.
Yeah, because Juno goes across next, and she's like, we need to take everything that we can get.
Raw dogs it.
So, yeah, she throws the rope over to them and then does exactly what Becca did, but in reverse, basically, taking everything out, getting across, and then she sees that one, and it makes her fall because it wasn't... So, I mean, it's been in there for forever. And when she sees it, she gets across and she says, like, this is like 100-year-old technology or something like that. No one uses this kind of climbing equipment anymore.
Yeah. But like you said, too, like after that fall, we were like, it was very close enough for them to be like, oh, shit.
And Becca's hands.
Her hands get fucked up from the rope trying to catch her.
The blood that was just pulsing out of it was so like
yeah, mine are hurting right now. Cuts on her hands are like really sensitive
from rope burn
painful.
Too, nonetheless. So she's got like burning sensation happening, but then also just like blood everywhere. It just,
and of course with where they're at, what they're doing, like the last thing you want is your hands to be fucked up because you have to grab onto things, you have to hold rocks, pointy stuff, those things possibly. So it's
like if they needed to do that again, who the fuck's gonna do it? I guess Juno.
Yeah.
But like Becca was the main,
she was the queen at it.
Climber. Yeah, she was so good at it, and now her hands are fucked. There's no way she's doing that now.
Yeah. And so they all managed to get to the other side, and at this point we come across a cave painting. Gives very caveman type of thing, like bison, buffalo,
buffaloes, little elks,
mountain on the mountain peak, and so they're just gonna walk past it, but Beth there we go, is like, wait a minute, like let's take a look at it, and she notices that it has an entrance and an exit, so they're like, okay,
two holes.
There has to be somewhere for us to get out.
Yeah.
So at least they know that much. And so at this point,
it gives them a little bit of hope.
Yeah, but before we transition to like them getting lost again, we get this like cut in a shot of one of the creatures, and it's just like ugly.
It's doing
and it's just like, and and then that's it. Because
Yeah.
then it cuts back to the people. So that was one of the moments where I was like, oh shit, what the fuck? But they're lost and they are trying to find their way out. They're using like a little lighter. Juno's using a lighter to like catch like breezes and stuff. And I think at this point, Holly thinks she finds a way out because she's a little
Yeah.
ahead of them, and she starts to run off.
Holly goes rushing off because she's
She thinks she sees
daylight.
light. Yeah.
What she thinks is daylight, but it's actually phosphorus in the rock
Yeah.
that made it look like daylight,
And she ends up running
which
so
was
much.
interesting because I was like, what the fuck was it then? Because I was like, it looked like daylight to me
Yeah.
too. And then later on, you get that explanation from Juno, and I was like, oh, okay.
Science.
Yeah, I was like, it looked like daylight to
Yeah.
me.
Well, it's like mirages and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But Holly, unfortunately, ends up running and doesn't watch her footing and falls into this hole, like perfectly round circle hole.
Yeah.
And
Just, man, the way that her body just kind of ragdolls down it.
yeah, and she ends up breaking her leg pretty bad,
And the bone was sticking out.
sticking out.
I was like, oh, God.
And so they end up getting to her, and they have to, go go down to where she's at. So that's just like putting them even further, like to like who knows God, like God knows where they're at.
Yeah.
Good Lord. And so, fuck Jesus. And I'm sorry. Just kidding. And so at this point, Sarah hears some more giggling at this point. And at this point, we know, like, all right, either something down here is like, I thought, she was kind of going crazy and hearing her daughter's giggles. But I also thought at that point, maybe like these creatures were imitating them because they were laughing at a few different points while they were down there.
Could be.
Yeah, she hears that shit.
Or she could have just been hearing what she wanted to hear, and it was them. But I like the idea that they're imitating them. And sorry, thank God that they had a medic with them, that Sam was there and able to actually.
She gets to reset Holly's leg.
Yeah.
And all while this is going on, and they're trying to help Holly kind of, make a splint so that they can carry her out, or she can kind of get up on one foot. Sarah walks off, and she ends up finding a helmet.
Yeah, old
metal helmet, like a miner's helmet.
That's one bad hat, Harry.
And she hears something in front of her, so she starts to, turn the light. And at this point, we see her, panning it across the cave. It's very dark. And then she sees a creature there in the middle of the cave.
And it's creepy.
Yeah, because it doesn't even necessarily notice her or is paying attention to her. But then at a certain point, right before Juno comes up, it looks at her.
Yeah, it looks
as much as it can.
Scatters.
Yeah.
Or skitters away.
Because Juno comes up and she's like, oh my God, I saw there's someone down here with us. But obviously Juno doesn't believe her.
Yeah. Juno kind of low-key gaslights her, and she's like, there's nothing there.
Yeah, you're only trying to see what you want to see. And so Sarah's trying to convince them. None of them believe her. And at this point, I think it's like Becca is like, well, what's important right now, whether you see her anything or not, is that we need to get Holly out of here. We need to get her wrapped up and go. And so they end up making their way up a little bit further. And at this point, they climb a little bit and get onto like the situation where there's nothing but bones.
Yeah. At first, I was like, are they crawling over skeletons right now? Like,
yeah.
I wasn't certain.
100% sure.
But
yeah.
I was like, those look like bones.
Yeah, those aren't rocks.
Those are white.
What? Yeah. And the way they were moving and like this noise they made when they cleaned, he was like, oh, that's bones.
That sounds like some bones.
It's so funny how distinctive bones touching like other bones, like that sound is. That's so weird. Like a wind chime, but like bone.
But bone.
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
And so.
Yeah, bones clacking together is really. Ugh, it's
not
creepy.
the tea. And so we have them getting Holly all fixed up. They start to walk off. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Oh God. Okay, I got that wrong.
We've crawled over the skeletons, and then we confirm, it's hundreds of dead animals that they just climbed over. Because that's why I couldn't tell. I was like, it doesn't look like human bones.
Yeah. It's a bunch of different kind of like, probably, I don't know,
I was like, but it's definitely still bones.
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell what kind of bones. And then later on, when we are on the human bones, I'm like, oh, that's some human bones.
Yeah, especially when you start to see the skulls.
Skeletons.
Spooky, scary skeletons.
Exactly.
Spoopy.
Spoopy.
And so at this point, what the fuck? Because they're like, where are we? And then we have them pulling up someone, to pull up a camcorder because it has like a infrared so they can see in the night. And then at this point, we turn it on and we pan it around, and one of the fucking creatures is right next to Holly. Is it Holly? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, because they just like yeet her across the room and like throw her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
no, it's not Holly.
It's not quite yet.
It's Beck or Beth. It's Beth, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
It's one of them.
I don't remember. It was next to. It pops up behind someone as they were filming.
That's true.
And then it crawls onto the ceiling, and then you hear it going like.
Yeah.
Circling them, and then.
And then they're like, "Oh my God, it's not human!" Because Sarah's like, "See, I told you there was a man down here." And Juno's like, that fucking thing was not a human being. That's not a
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's when they're kind of arguing and circling them and stuff, that it hops down from the roof and it like parkours off of Holly.
Oh, yeah.
The way it looked, it was like, dump.
Literally. Because then her body just like went flying the other direction. And he's just like springing back like a chicken.
And then it comes back and it bites her little neck off.
Oh, yeah. Holly gets it.
She does.
Most part, yeah.
Again, wasn't too sad.
Yeah, poor thing. Broke her leg and then gets like her neck ripped out. And so at this time, everybody's
became the weakest link.
Everybody's dispersing. It's kind of like a free-for-all-ish a little bit. And Becca and Sam go off together. We have Sarah who ran off, and then we have, I guess, Juno's the one who gets left there, and we see that she starts getting attacked, but also because she's trying to get them off of Holly, I believe.
Yeah.
And then
she's beating the shit out of the one that was on Holly.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden another one comes up and gets on her.
Yeah. And so, but she turns into Super Saiyan mode real fast because she ends up using like a pick thing, and kills them.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, because she's in such a like killer mode, someone comes up from behind her and like she stabs them in the neck. And who else is it but Beth? Yeah, unfortunately.
Accidentally gets her right in her little throat.
Neck
little
area,
jugular.
aortic, like all of that. Yeah. She was pretty much done for.
Yeah. There was no really coming back from that.
That's so crazy that things can happen to you and like
complete accident.
Can't fix it.
But yeah.
Well, yeah. But like, yeah. Like imagine though, like having that in you and you still live for like 3-4 more hours, but knowing that like
you're gonna
die, or if you pull it out, like
and Juno did pull it out.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Juno was like,
need that back.
I'm gonna need that.
Sorry about it. Because Beth looks shocked, as anyone would be, and she falls to the ground, and Juno just kind of like walks away, fades into the background.
I was like, damn, she really left Beth.
Yeah.
She just fucking left her.
Yeah. At that point though,
shows her character.
It really does, because she didn't even like put her out of her misery. Like
she
just left her there to like
bleed
out or like have to be eaten alive by these things. Yeah, it's like if I'm gonna like at least like kill me now, you know what I mean?
So that way I don't feel it.
Yeah. But unfortunately that doesn't happen. We catch up. We're with Rebecca and Sam, and they're doing their thing, running away, scared, trying to survive. And then for some reason, before we catch up with Sarah, I guess she found time to fall asleep, or she passed out.
Oh, yeah.
Because she has a dream sequence.
Sarah fell down.
That's what
Sarah fell down a little hole.
Okay.
And hit her head.
Gotcha. So
and
she was knocked out.
She had her helmet. Yeah, she was knocked out. And then so that's when we get Jessica whispering, "Mommy, if you're really ready, then." And then it.
Yeah.
And it was so funny.
And then
that you get the little back of Jessica's head, and then it turns around and it's a creature, and it's like,
yeah, literally. And she wakes up, and that's whenever we have her looking through the camcorder, and she just happens to be in the area where they take their feeding grounds, I guess, because Holly's body just drops in, and they start to feast on it, and she's just watching them through the camcorder, trying not to make a noise, but she does making a little noise.
Yeah, she ends up gagging.
And so it's like right up in her face, which is really scary, trying to see if there's something there. So at this point, we're starting to learn, at least I could tell already, is like these things can't see them.
Yeah.
But they can like hear them. That's like a bat. That's what, they go off, which we do learn later from Sam. But at this point, she's basically just watching them and observing them. And we catch up with Juno, who's now calling out for Sarah.
And it ends up saving Sarah's life in the nick of time, but now they're coming for her.
But Juno ends up seeing these arrows on the wall, which is definitely probably a way out. And we're back with Becca and Sam, and they're trying to lay down or something, because at this point,
in like a little crawl space of sorts.
They
like,
hear one of them coming.
Yeah, they got up there and they barely make it past that one that's on top of them.
Oh yeah,
because it's like right above them, and it stays there for a while because it can probably sense them.
But it just exactly they can't see them, and it can't like hear them. Yeah,
and it ends up going past, but
it's creepy. Ends up going past them, but unfortunately we get that watch that we heard about earlier, and it goes off like an alarm, and Miss Sam gets it right in the nick of time to throw it for the beast not to come and grab them.
Yeah.
And so it was really scary. It was pretty like you feel on the edge of your seat when that's happening. And it's even more like
because she was struggling to get it off, and it was like, ooh, girl, get it off your wrist right now.
Well, and then because we're also seeing everything not even with like a flashlight, it's like in that green light of the glow stick that they broke.
Yeah.
So yeah, just adds to the spook factor. But at this point, Juno is still calling out for everyone.
She's attracting them all because she's like, Becca,
Sarah. And it's funny because even Rebecca's like, she's calling them all, and they're gonna go towards her, and Sam's like, better her than
me.
Yeah. So at this point,
gonna bring them all down on her head. They said, and she was like, better her head than mine.
Miss Sarah is like, okay, I got to do something. So she ends up taking shit off of Holly's dead body.
Yeah, she was taking stuff off of Holly's dead body, and then stuff from the previous,
I guess, people that were there.
Because
she ends up being able to make a torch.
Yeah. At first, it was so dark in the scene that I could not tell what was
she
happening.
Was doing. Yeah.
I was like, Sarah's definitely doing something, but I have no fucking clue what it is until the torch lit, and I was like, oh,
that's what we're doing.
She's making a torch.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so she ends up trying to walk out of there, but before she can, Becca ends up, saying, "Oh, Sarah," like that. And then she goes over to Beth, and that's whenever Sarah's like, I'll go get Juno, and we're gonna get you out of here. And Sarah's like, Beth. Beth is like, do not trust Juno.
Yeah.
She's the one that did this to me. She left me to die.
And then that's when she shows her the necklace. It says love each day on it.
Yeah. Which is what we saw Juno wearing all the time.
Yeah. That she would she kissed before she jumped down into the thing and stuff like that. And she kept fiddling with it. Mm-hmm. And then all the while, we're also getting scenes of Sam and Becca trying to find their way through the cave system, and then one pops down from the ceiling, separating them. But then Juno comes in the nick of time to save the day.
Yeah,
and stabs it in the back. And this is where we're getting that they use sound to hunt, and they evolve to live in the dark, basically, and that they go up to the surface to hunt things, but then they live down here.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when we're with Beth and Sarah. I almost said Juno.
No, you're good. And that's when she's telling her all those things about, what's happening. And I'm thinking, how is she fucking still alive?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it was just enough. It wasn't like her throat was slit per se, but maybe it just I think if she got medical attention, she probably could have survived.
Yeah.
But would maybe not be able to talk very well. I was confused as to how she was speaking.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
But I was literally in my notes, I was like, how's this bitch still alive?
And then I was basically poor fucking Sarah. So I was like, so not only is her best friend dying, but her other one was fucking her man.
And she had to learn from the one that's dying, and the one who's dying was killed by the other one who was fucking your man.
Yeah.
So many layers shit.
Talk about needing to go to therapy.
And Jesse wasn't even her real child. No, I'm just kidding. Could you imagine?
Didn't come out of her vagina.
And so after all of that happening, good God. Oh yeah. Beth asks, Sarah to take her out of her misery, which she does, which is really sad because she has literally crush her head with a rock. It looks like.
Yeah.
And immediately right after, fucking this little baby child type of creature comes out, and it's right in front of Sarah, and she's kind of.
Oh, I thought it was a lady one.
No.
It looked like it had titties that were hanging down.
You think? Well, it
Yeah.
could have been a little. Well, there was a little one, and then a
then
girl
the
one came
mommy
out. Then the
one.
mommy came, yeah, for sure,
Mm.
because she's the one that she was fighting in the Watcher.
I see.
But yeah, there's this little baby one, and she ends up killing it.
Yeah, okay.
and
I have
that's-
one attacked Sarah. I didn't realize it was a baby.
Yeah, exactly. It was that one. It's the one that attacked her, and then she kills it, and then the mama comes
mama
out,
one.
and she's like,
It was the mama one that kind of made the cute sounds.
oh, okay,
They were like,
yeah, I could see that.
and I was like, aw.
Like a cat.
And then I saw its like little saggy titties and its
Not
grimy
aw.
hair and stuff on its head too. And I was like, ew.
Yeah, and you can tell Mama is pissed, and she ends up, Sarah ends up running off, and she falls into this like water pit thing, but it's not water;
Yeah.
it's like blood.
It reminded
So
me
much
of
bloody water.
in Star Wars, whenever it's either 4, 5, or 6, because it's got Leia in it, and when they're trying to escape,
In the trash can.
and they go into the trash.
That's the fourth one. The first one, A New Hope.
Okay, so
Mhm.
fourth,
Yeah.
and they were in. And
Yeah,
they
yeah.
hopped down into it. That water looked the same
Yeah.
with the like sludge that was on top of it. It made me think that it was maybe where they go to the bathroom
Oh, maybe.
or just a pit of blood
Yeah. 'cause
with
she
water
was super
and
red.
stuff all over it.
She was very red.
Yeah.
Because she ends up coming out of it a
Bloody
little
poo-poo.
bit, but then gets attacked by the mama demon creature thing, and she ends up killing it, thankfully, and
Uses a little antler.
and then she climbs up onto the rock, but as soon as she does that, she has to like pretend dead, like act like she's not there, because this other beefed up one comes. I guess I don't know if it's Papa or Big Brother.
They look
I
like
don't know.
orcs too.
Yeah, they look like orcs a little bit, don't they? Especially the meteor ones.
Yeah, like this one in particular
Mm-hmm.
looked like at least some of the orcs. It was, especially when they were first born
Yeah.
or reborn out of the process. Yeah.
She thankfully ends up killing this one too, though.
Yeah, she
Pretty.
does.
At this point, she's kind
It
of
literally crawls right over her. That was
Oh,
so
yeah.
insane to me when it put its hand on her head, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god, it's gonna like realize
it's her, but I guess it just thought she
it
was a rock,
didn't,
part
and
of
it
the
like
rock.
kicks her in the head too.
As it's walking
I was
off.
like, oh,
I was just surprised that it didn't like touch the flame or the fire at all, or didn't
Yeah.
think anything weird of this like warm thing
Warm.
next to it. Yeah. But yeah, she ends up killing it because she's a badass now at this point of the movie, and
she killed it with like a femur or some
Yeah.
shit. That was some big bone,
mm-hmm.
and she just like bludgeoned it, blunt force trauma to the head.
And at this point, I think we cut back to the girls, Juno, Rebecca, and Sam, because they're they're about to go through one of the little cave hole system things, and Juno looks behind her, and there's so many of them like popping up behind her.
Yeah, and at one point, Sarah screamed.
Oh, did
Sarah
she?
just goes, no.
Oh,
And I was like, why the fuck are you screaming right now, bitch?
I don't remember that part, I guess.
Yeah,
I was writing a note.
She screamed.
Like after, like in the blood, after she like,
Uh-huh.
oh, okay, gotcha.
After she killed
It's
him.
like a warrior.
But I was like, girl,
cry.
you're going to bring them all to you.
Yeah.
But then I was like, maybe she is trying to draw them away from the others.
And so we have Sam getting ahead of Rebecca and Juno, and she, for some reason, she thinks that she can do what Rebecca did earlier, and I don't even think she had the same amount of things. Like,
No.
she only had hers and another one, I
Yeah,
guess.
and she didn't have enough rope or
Yeah.
anything either.
Because they'd come up and they're like, come back around, turn around. You do not have enough. Like you can come back still.
You're going to die.
But unfortunately, and that's true, because one of the creatures comes up from on top of her and just slices the fuck out of her neck.
Yeah, just like kind of pulls it off.
Yeah.
Like rips her neck open.
And it's so crazy that to think like things with like talons and claws can just do that to us.
To just,
Yeah.
rip through your jugular.
Just rip. And so the poor Sam, thankfully, before she dies, I guess her last hurrah is like she ends up stabbing it a little bit, and she's able to do that. But then the way that her body just falls and like the blood is just dripping
Down her face.
it's so
and stuff,
dramatic.
It
yeah.
was.
And her poor sister had to watch it happen, like
And
right
she
in
was,
front
like,
of her.
crying and then distracted, and then they forgot that a whole horde of them was coming behind them.
Yeah.
And it pulls her down into the cave system of it.
The cavern.
And it starts eating her like intestines.
Her guts.
Starts just going ham.
Yeah.
Christmas dinner.
which is pretty crazy. And Juno's just watching it all happen. Juno ends up jumping off of the cliff, right? And
into the water.
Which
and one jumps in with her.
I just think like earlier they should have just all jumped into the water instead of going across the way they did.
Yeah.
If it was not the same place, I feel like it was the same exact place as earlier, but maybe not.
I don't think it was, because then
not.
she wouldn't have had to. Oh, well, Juno did come in and take all of them earlier.
Yeah.
It didn't sound like that rock earlier in the first one hit water.
Yeah.
It sounded like rock hitting rock because it went like boom, boom, boom.
Mm-hmm. That's besides the point. My bad. Okay. So anyways, Juno jumps into the water, and there's the one that Sam, stabbed, it's down in there. And of course it comes back to life, and she has to, kill it one more time. And then at this point, she climbs up, and she is about to go through like this little opening, and then Sarah pulls her in.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And what happens with Miss Sarah?
This is when I was like, Sarah's like one with this cave now. First off, she looked like Carrie.
She did.
Just covered in blood with her blonde hair. And she pulls her in, and she's basically asking her, like, what about Becca? And she said no. And because she could already see that Sam was up there dead.
Yeah.
She poked her head out and could tell. And then she goes, well, what about Beth? And then that's when Juno says she didn't make it.
And I love how Sarah's like, you watched her die? And then she's like,
yeah.
And
she was like,
the face that she makes is like her eyes got wide and everything. Cause it's like, you just bold-faced lied right to my face.
Yeah.
Like,
you're a fucking liar.
Yeah. And Sarah don't have time for liars. She really doesn't. Not at this point.
Not at this point. She's lost literally everything that means anything to her.
And
is left with the one bitch ass friend who fucking was gonna take that shit away from her had the universe not intervened.
Yeah, in such an unfortunate manner.
Yeah.
But then we have this really badass scene where all of these creatures start coming up, and it's basically a big old boss battle fight scene between Juno and Sarah against all of them.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because obviously they kind of get thrown a little bit at some points, but like they are badass and just like, they're killing
going
it.
ham.
They're like, pushing eyeballs in, like smashing heads against the wall. We got them using the axe pick thing against their brains.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing it. And at this point, Miss Sarah is a savage because that's whenever they kind of kill all the immediate ones that are around them, and she just turns around and looks at Miss Juno. And she like holds up the axe to her and shows her the necklace that she took that Beth gave her. That was obviously Juno's.
Yeah.
And so it's a very much like,
I know what you did.
what you did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they hear the sounds of all the other creatures that are coming. And so Miss Sarah takes this as her chance to just like, boom, put the pick right through Miss Juno's leg. So basically rendering her, pretty much dead because she
defenseless,
can't. Defenseless, yeah. It's pretty wild.
She just leaves her too.
Oh yeah.
She's like,
bye bitch.
Bye bitch. Yep.
Fend for yourself.
Then we kind of get this sequence of Juno pulling the axe pick thingy out of her leg, but you just see all like probably at least a dozen of them start descending on her.
Yeah.
And you can hear her screaming as Sarah's running away, and so you can only assume that she's left for dead.
Eaten up.
Yeah. And then Sarah's running. She ends up falling down a hole, but then through that hole, whenever she comes to, she sees daylight. And it's actual daylight this time. It's not phosphorus. So she starts climbing out. It was such a like poetic, metaphorical scene of her climbing out over all of these skeletons and like escaping through.
Yeah.
It was
very
really
much
nice.
so, and like how we were in the dark for so long, and now we have the bright sunlight
and ascending.
The freedom, yeah.
It wasn't the descent; it was the ascent.
Oh, that's true. And so she gets out there, and she's like obviously at a 10, so she's like running, away from the hole, and like she's like breathing. She's like, "Oh my god, I'm free!" And she thankfully was able to come out right where the fucking truck was, which I thought was like that's suspicious, but okay, whatever.
Well, I think it was just close enough. She did have to run a bit, but maybe they didn't show us.
Yeah,
but she did somehow know her way back to the truck, which was like
Hollywood. And so she is back at the truck, gets in there. She is driving full throttle getting away from
She
this
is flying.
mountain. Yeah, and she is sobbing.
She pulls over to sob.
Yeah. And then
Almost gets hit by an 18-wheeler.
Yeah, which is blaring its horn at her.
Again, very Final Destination, because it actually had logs in the back of it.
True, it did. And then at this point, she like opens up her window to like throw up out of it. And as soon as she turns back around in the car, we have a jump scare from Juno's ghost.
Juno's ghost. They're going,
and
she screams, and it's the end.
That's the end. I could have done without Juno's ghost at the end. I think it would have been just fine.
Yeah, I could have just done with her vomiting and then like sinking back into the chair, being like,
that's it. Yeah.
And it just goes black.
The end.
Yeah. Didn't need that jump scare.
So that is our
2005
The Descent.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we can go ahead and give it some booze.
Yeah.
Some
I've also got a
bupisanas.
few fun facts about it.
Oh, go ahead and go with those first.
Oh, okay. Let me find them.
Never mind. All right, so I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 booze.
4 out of 5. Why is that?
I've always I saw it a while back ago, probably 2011 the first time. And then I've seen it, like I said, a few times since. And even watching it this time, I was like, I got into it. Like I was really excited for the parts that I knew that were gonna come up. And yeah, even watching it this time, there were more things I noticed that I didn't notice the first time, I guess, or first few times. I like that it follows this group of friends. We get to kind of see like the world through their friendship and their lens, is like going through all of these unfortunate circumstances together, because it's like, you know, it'd be like us going cave diving with our group of friends. You know what I mean? Obviously nobody's fucking someone else's husband, but you know, so yeah, that'd be crazy. That'd be pretty crazy. I thought the creatures were done really well too.
I
like
do too.
I on people, like they look like practical, like those were suits or something, or I don't know, maybe it was CGI, but I don't know, or both.
I don't think it was CGI. I think it was like special effects and makeup.
Yeah, and they were really cool. They were really scary. I liked Sarah's arc and how she turned into a total badass. I kind of honestly liked Juno a little bit, other than the stupid shitty stuff she did, but because she was such a like badass at killing those things. And I think I've told 2 other people about this movie and they watched it and they say it's good. So overall, it's going to get 4 boos for me.
I like that.
Give me your fun facts.
Fun facts. So I already told you that the crawlers, they're called the crawlers.
Oh, crawlers.
Were designed to resemble Nosferatu from the 1922 film. They also had huge white eyes to begin with, but this idea was done away with because they looked too silly. It took 3.5 hours in makeup to transform an actor into a crawler.
That's cool.
And they had to shave off all their body hair as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need body hair down there.
No. The filmmakers consider it to be too dangerous to film in an actual cave, and it also would have been far too time consuming, so they opted to build one instead. So 22 separate cave sets were built for the film.
Oh my.
And these were carefully reused with different camera angles, set dressings, and lighting to suggest a nearly endless collection of interconnected tunnels and caverns. For realism, the makers often limited the lighting of the sets to light sources that the protagonists brought with them, such as flashlight, helmet lights, and light sticks.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which is why it was so dark half the time.
Which, I mean, is on point, because that's how it would be if, you know, that were real life.
Yeah. And then my favorite fact was that the appearance of the crawlers was kept secret from the cast members until the first scene in which they encountered them was filmed. So whenever they were there on like top of the piles of animal bones, and when the cast were finally filming the scene where the girls encountered the crawlers, the girls were genuinely scared and screamed the building down, running off the set and like laughing.
Damn.
Because they were like genuinely terrified.
Which
I thought was funny.
That's a pretty good way to keep genuine terror.
Yeah, exactly. Because and so like I read that fact before I watched the movie, and so then at that scene, whenever they were all initially like shown the crawlers, I was keeping that in mind, and I was like, yeah, they do look genuinely terrified.
Yeah.
Like, this is good acting.
I would be too.
If not,
they're terrifying. They're scary. And
that's all.
That's it?
Yeah, that's basically all. There's one other one, but
yeah. Well, I mean, for being filmed in 2005 as well, I mean, maybe it was released in 05. So I mean, this would have been filmed in like 04 or maybe 3, you know, depends on how much they had time to produce, production, edit, all that. That's crazy. It still holds up. And those creatures they're still pretty good. What's your boo rating?
I think maybe I'll have to go with a 4 as well. I really did like it. I want to go back and watch it without having to take notes.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I tell you, it still holds up.
Yeah. It gave me genuine like feelings of being claustrophobic. Wasn't a fan of that.
Yeah.
And so the fact that it was able to make me uncomfortable, and then also just the creatures and everything and all the, you know, broken bones and stuff that were happening, it was gross, and it was just like, ugh, I didn't like it. The creatures, we all know that I'm not a fan of like most things being shown, but I think the creatures were really well done. And they, like you said, they do still hold up to this day, because I think if I was to see a movie now that had that, I would be like, okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also too, it's like I really enjoyed that, like you see it either through like the camcorder or with, like you said, the lights that they would only have provided or brought with, like the flashlight or the green light. It really adds to it. Like it's like you're not just seeing it in like, you know, broad daylight or anything.
Yeah.
So it adds to it. I think that's pretty cool.
This
too.
film did almost give like found footage, but not found footage. I was wondering if it made you
no
queasy at all because of the first person POVs and stuff that were happening.
No. This one didn't really, but I think also because it was so dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could help.
Mm-hmm.
I did think about that going through. I was like, this is, I mean, just some of the movements that we were getting with the camera angles and the camera angles that they had.
Very fast and shaky.
Yeah. That I was like, this is almost giving found footage, which is probably why I did like it.
Oh, yeah. You love those.
Because I do love found footage. And it made me think of, like, I thought of You in the Middle, and I was like, I wonder if Josh got sick off of this, but he did say it's one of his favorites. But then again, Blair Witch was one of your favorites, and that's.
But that one does kind of make me sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that one does.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think 4 out of 5 boos for me as well. I genuinely enjoyed the experience, and I would like to go back and rewatch it again.
Apparently there's a Descent too.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm wondering if Sarah goes back into the cave system.
Because it looks like her.
Yeah. And I'm like, why would you do that?
I have no idea.
Doesn't make sense to me, but I didn't write this movie, so.
It gives very Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a solid 4 for The Descent. 2005 from your boobays.
Which is going along with our decades of horror, because this was our 2000 to 2010 pick, which is kind of right in the middle of the decade.
2005, smack dab.
Yeah, I think for this too, it just kind of goes like, I don't know, like I feel like the 2000s area, like there's so many movies that came out that were horror films. It's really nice to see like a creature film is still like something that can like muster up like us being scared from and like these kinds of things, you know, because I feel like also 2 things around this area and time were very like thriller suspense type of horror movie, like maybe a murderer or something like that, you know, before like we get into like the 2008 till now where everything turned supernatural, where it was like ghosts and then like spirits, and now we're like, you know, Insidious and Conjuring, demons. All that, demons, which is kind of like the main front of where horror is right now. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool movie. Is. Once again, we're in the lovely Rogue Media Network studios.
That's right. They always take great care of us. And you can listen to us or a slew of other podcasts all in one central place, and that is at
roguemedianetwork.com.
But then you can also listen to us on a big amount of podcasting platforms, the biggest 2 being
Spotify
and also Apple. But wherever you do listen, don't forget to
rate, review, like, and subscribe.
That's right, because that is the only way we can get ahead in this world. And then if you would like to reach out to us and let us know your thoughts on The Descent, if you've
tell us what you do,
if you want us to cover I think we're going all the way up to the 20s. Are we? Are we doing?
Yep, all the way up to the 2020s. So we still have next week, which is the 2010s.
Yes.
And then we're going to have the 2020, which I guess we already have that one picked out. I believe we did.
We have the 10s picked
Oh,
out.
we do too. Yeah. Yeah.
So for the 10s, we'll be covering
Carrie. Yeah.
the 2013 version. And that is a listener request from Nikki.
Mm-hmm.
So be excited, on the lookout for that. But if you want to let us know your thoughts on Carrie as well, to be read along with Nikki's thoughts, you can reach out to us on our One Central social media platform, which is Instagram.
At Boobays Podcast, at BOOBAES, because we're your Boobays, not your Boo Babes.
That's right. And until next time, you guys.
Bye, bays.
Bye, bays.
Boobays.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.